Timmy's fired the first shot, and nobody cares. Well, actually, everybody does.
Well, it seems like a lot of people, but it seems like everybody cares about everything nowadays.
Yeah, well, with the internet, it makes it so much easier for people to complain about stuff.
I still enjoy Tim Hortons, don't you worry.
Okay, so this is what's happening, is that the minimum wages have gone up. They've gone up here in Alberta, and they just went up in Ontario. They went up by 30%.
They're $14 now or something like that?
They are 14. They went from $11.60 to $14.
What are they now? What are they here now?
It's 13 something.
And by next year, it's going to be
$15, yeah.
By next October or something like that?
Yeah. So, the two Timmy's franchises got into the news because they...
Let's define what a franchise is for people who don't know what that is, sorry.
No, that's actually a really good
franchise
point.
is this. Tim Hortons is like the umbrella company, and Tim Hortons goes, we're going to sell you our name and our product to you as an individual.
Yep.
And that's all. That's pretty much what a franchise is. You are responsible for all your money. Some are run as a corporation where it's like the umbrella
Corporate
runs
stores, yeah.
everything. Where these are each individual stores run by each individual person who takes the profits from those stores.
Yes. So. Now, a franchise owner has to follow minimum rules according to the corporation. Yeah. They also have to follow...
pay a franchise fee for use of the name and the product.
Yeah. They also have to follow provincial and federal laws. And after that, what the franchisees do with their employees is entirely up to them.
Yeah.
As long as they're meeting the minimum standards.
Yeah.
So, this franchise, after the 30% increase to the minimum wage, they have decided to make some cuts to help offset the costs, because you can't just raise prices. When you're a part of a franchise, they set prices at a certain level.
And they do like competitive market analysis to set prices. Like you can't just be like, my coffee's, I can't put my coffee at $3 when everybody else around me is $2.10. Then you would just price yourself out of the market. So you got to be smart. You can't just raise prices to offset. So they decided that they wanted to do the following.
Okay, so they paid for breaks, and they give a list of so you work X hours, you get like 20 minutes paid break, 15 minutes paid break, half an hour paid break, 40 minutes paid break. They took away all those paid breaks. Now, according to federal law in Canada, you only have to give a half an hour lunch for anything over 5 hours, and then if you're over 12 hours, it's a completely different story.
Aren't all labor laws provincial, not federal? I think
no. The federal is the minimum.
Oh, okay.
And
but
provincial can actually has to be at least the federal, and then they can go above and beyond. So the federal minimum wage is like $8, I think, but provincial minimum wages vary according to where you are. So so they cut paid breaks, which it's one of those hard things.
Yeah, it's hard to feel bad for you.
If you got paid breaks, that was awesome, because this is not something that Tim Hortons does. Mm-hmm. This was a franchise specific thing. And from what I understand, and working in the industry, we didn't get paid breaks either.
I've always hated breaks, though. The idea of a break for me is like, go take an hour lunch. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do for an hour?
Yeah, hour lunch sucks. Half an hour is okay.
Can I take 15 minutes and then just go home half an hour early?
Yeah. If only it was that simple. They also are part of a benefits package. Now, again, this is a franchise-specific thing, because other Timmys don't have benefits. So this is very specific to these two. They used to pay all benefits. So you get on the benefit package, and those franchise people would pay the whole thing. Now, if you work less than 5 years, you have to pay 75%. And if you work more than 5 years, you have to pay 50% of whatever the money is.
Yeah.
So that's a, oh great, I get a 30% raise, but now I actually have to pay another bill.
Yeah.
So
it's counterintuitive almost, you
right?
It's not.
And the thing is, they said, they specifically said, we aren't cutting hours. We're still giving you your uniforms for free. We're not trying to lay anybody off. We're trying to keep everybody employed. And they made a point of that, which is a good thing, sort of.
Well, they're cutting the extras. They're cutting the things that... And I think this is what companies are going to start doing, because with the minimum wage going up to a living wage, as people want to call it, it's, it's... The companies are in business to make money. They're in business to make as much money as possible for the person who owns that place.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's...
Depending on the owner is whether or not they're so generous or frugal. And
to me, this whole thing about this minimum wage is this. It doesn't matter. When you force somebody to do something, they're just going to find ways so it doesn't affect them. Because that owner probably wants a vacation home. Probably wants 15 cars or whatever.
It's funny because the owners are actually vacationing in Florida right now and can't be reached for comment as of the taping of this video.
Yeah, so you think that, and this has been my problem the whole time about this is my biggest problem with people in government, is that we run to the government to fix the problems that they can't fix. When you force somebody to do something, they don't want to do it. They're going to find a way not to do it, or
you find the easiest, laziest possible ways of doing something.
So
that's never the way you want things done. You don't want it done lazy. You don't want it done easy. You want it done right. Yeah.
I've always looked at this. If I was a business owner, if I had a business that was successful and that was making profit, I would want to pay my employees enough money, and I would want to make them want to be in my establishment and work for me for as long as possible. I would want them to make a career out of the job that I give them. Because then that does a few things for me. I don't have to train new staff a lot.
Nope.
I have loyal people that I can trust.
Yep.
And when somebody comes in, they're going to look at that and be like, wow, this is almost like a family. You know what I mean? And so to me, I don't understand why.
I think for us, it's a little bit different because we've had to work our way from a bottom place and get into the middle, whereas I'm not trying to bag on these two franchises, but these two, apparently they are related to the actual Tim Hortons person who sold the business, so they might actually be rich, but that's speculation. Now, from what I understand, these two were actually, from personal experience, these two have offering their staff a hell of a lot. Paid breaks, benefits.
That's great, yeah. Like a lot of places don't have benefits.
And a lot of places, if you actually get benefits, you actually have to pay all of it.
Yeah.
And it's
a shitty plan.
Yeah, it is. So it's one of those things of, these people, depending on who you are, is whether or not you actually care about people. I can only speculate that these two franchises, they're actually doing their employees a good thing. Again, speculation. And other franchises are not up to the same standard. So when they're cutting all these extra stuff...
It makes them look bad.
It does make them look bad, but they might actually just be cutting it back to a regular level. That they might be up here for standards, whereas the normal is down here. So all of a sudden they go back to normal. It looks bad, but it wasn't their fault.
It's the standard across the board,
Because it's like, do you, as an owner, want to take a pay cut because the government raised your minimum wage?
Now, the other side of the coin is people look at this. I remember a long time ago, me and a buddy were looking at a Tim Hortons franchise. We wanted to get into Tim Hortons because we knew it's a cash cow.
Yeah.
So we went around and we talked to 3 owners. And we asked them about their experience of going through the franchise process, and we asked them about why they chose Tim Hortons and stuff like that. All 3 of them, one of the first things out of their mouths were, I'm going to be a rich person by the end of this. That was one of the first things they told us when we sat down with them. And it was great that they sat down with us. They didn't have to. They gave us half an hour of their day, and they were like, and they were very open about why they did it and how they did it and the process and stuff like that. It was cool, But that was one of the first things. So I can see a lot of people where they're coming from. A lot of the backlash is, well, these people are rich. Why can't they pay their people what they should? And it's like, well, because this is a society standard of get as much money as you can and keep it for yourself. That's the world we live in. That's what capitalism is, guys.
You can even look at it this way. If you own a business and you have people working for you, are you willing to take a pay cut so they can make more?
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, then congratulations. You are now probably in the top 10% people of non-greedy people. Because the other 90% are going to go, why should I take a pay cut?
You can say yes. You can say yes because you're not in that position. Until you get in that position, you never know what you're going to do. Like, I could sit here, and I would like to think that I'm the 10% where I would be like, as long as I'm living, like, have a profitable business.
But that's the thing. It's like, if you're making $100,000... all of a sudden, it's like, and the people that work for you are making 50 grand. If you take a 30% cut, you're making 70, and all of a sudden they're making 60. Are you going to be okay with that?
See, then that's where I look at it a little bit differently. I think, like, if I'm living comfortably and I have everything that I want and need, like, and I'm good, like, I'm not like waiting for my next check, or
living paycheck.
And I'm good, yeah. and I'm like, okay, well, why can't I afford that to somebody else?
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. You know what I mean? Well, I don't need yachts. I don't need multiple vacations, multiple cars, multiple homes. I don't need to live a life like that. You know, and would I do that if I was a multimillionaire? Probably, because we're all. I don't know. I'm loved. What? Who knows? I don't know what I would do, but to sit there and to bash them for making business decisions, to me, we're directing the hate and the anger in the wrong direction, in my opinion.
We are.
Like, it should be.
It should be at the government for making them. For having them interfere in an open... It's supposed to be an open environment for capitalism.
It's a very... And that's the problem. That's the key word right there. Is we don't live... People like to say that we live in a free market. We don't live in a free market. Get that word free? Don't throw it out the window, because it's not free. We live in a capitalist market. Okay? We live in a for-profit society. And when you live in a for-profit society... people are going to do things for the lowest they can. They're going to cut costs wherever they can. And this is where the double-edged sword is. I used to believe that we shouldn't have a minimum wage. But then I'm like, well, the people will just come in and work for $3 an hour. And then I'll be affected. Everybody will be affected. Because the lower-end jobs, and like the warehouses and the fast food and the grocery stores... they'll all be employed by people who will work for $5 an hour. Who will work 2-3 jobs to $5 an hour at each one of them. You know what I mean? And it's like, so you have to have a minimum, but to make the minimum so high that it's going to make people have to... It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, excuse me. I agree with this, is the minimum wage... it's way too high. It's like, when you're working at a place, for a company... and you're making 10 cents more. Just say you're working for a company for 5 years, and you're only making 10 cents more than the guy who just walked off the street.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because this is not what happens. It's like when the minimum wage goes up, everybody's wages go up. This is not what happens.
No. The minimum wage goes up, everybody else stays. If you're above minimum wage, like if you're making $18 an hour, everybody comes up to you. You don't go up. So if everybody gets $1 raise, you don't get $1.
This is not a boat floating on water. Yeah. This is a rock.
Yeah.
Going underneath the water.
Yeah.
You're the rock, and generally the water doesn't raise you up.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening. Is all these people are just walking off the street are now making almost as much as you, even though you've put in X amount of years.
Yeah. And so it's like, I think we need to look at like. It's such a like a hard thing to do, because a lot of people don't make minimum wage. A lot of people make over minimum wage. So like it's all like fast food and pretty much restaurants that are all going to be affected by this.
Yeah. Well, because servers all of a sudden get more money. But yeah.
And it's like if we want to sit here and we want people to have living wages, then we need to have an economy that supports a wage that is profitable for everybody. So like when
you need to have houses and lots of them.
Yeah.
So housing isn't expensive.
Yeah, because like right now
you need to have it so taxes aren't overly high, expensive, but you still have most access to
Like when you're paying, when you're living expense, when you're paying over 50% of your income to like put a roof over your head, to heat that house, and so on and so forth. That, to me, that's a little. That's not something that the government can control. That's something that a true free market would control. Like, if we had more...
See, the government controls that because they state what can be built and how much can be built. And it's just more like this is where I kind of agree with government should step in and go, you know what? We need more apartments. We need higher density so you can have more places so things go down instead of urban sprawl. Right? Because that's what's happening is people are they're building the houses because they can make more money off of houses. But they should be putting into communities and stuff like that.
Just cram us in there like sardines.
Well, to a point. You know, there's a limit.
I think we're overpopulated.
Yeah.
And we have too many, like, we're all condensed into too small of an area. I don't know. It's so,
Calgary is actually really spread.
I don't know. It's just so, like, this whole minimum wage thing is it's just weird. I just don't understand it.
It's a necessary evil.
It is. It is to a point, yes.
Yeah. It is a minimum wage is a necessary evil, but forcing such a high minimum wage is actually going to be... and you know what? In the grand scheme of things, you might not see any job loss, but what you are going to see is... less stuff for people.
That's benefits. You know, the job is just going to be, here's your $15 an hour. Now have fun. You're not gonna, like, I know at restaurants you get 50% meals if you're working, and that's probably going to go away in a lot of places, and yada yada yada. And it's like,
benefits, for example, that's a great example.
And this is where the double-edged sword comes in, because if you have a lower minimum wage, do we really think that people are going to pay in the lower end jobs? Are they going to pay the higher wage just so people, and that's where the double-edged sword is.
Yeah, and that's the problem is you have these people that want the money and will do whatever they can to make money, and then you have, and unfortunately those places do well, and then you have these mom and pop organizations that try to pay out decent wages but can't make enough and fail because of whatever reason. So
It's definitely a interesting subject. It's an interesting area of debate.
It just sucks that Timmy's is the first social media casualty in this little war. Many. Yeah, because there's already starting to come out other places that are.
You look at McDonald's and their self-serve kiosks. You look at Walmart and superstores and all that. They all have more self-checkouts are popping up everywhere you go. And why is that?
Because they need to get rid of
jobs.
Minimum wage monkeys.
And they're not going to cut jobs up here. No, they're not going to cut even though logically that would make the most sense to go, hey, you're making $1 million. If we cut out your job, that really is a little bit redundant and could be done by other people making $250,000, then maybe, to me, that sounds logical.
But people at the top don't cut from the top. No. They cut from the bottom because it's like,
you don't trim off muscle, you cut off the fat. And unfortunately, minimum wage, low end jobs are the fat of the working world. Mm-hmm. So let us know down below what you guys think. Are you mad at Tim Hortons?
I'm not.
No,
I feel for them. I really do. I feel sorry for the franchisees because
I feel sorry for everybody.
Hard decisions, and I feel bad for the employees because they're the ones who are going to get crapped on.
Yeah, I feel sorry for everybody in this whole debacle. I feel sorry for everybody, and in the back of my brain, I sit there and I go, I wonder if this is going to affect me, even though I don't work in a so-called minimum wage job. But I always wonder, will it affect me?
How is it going?
How is it going to affect me?
Yeah, so
yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah.
See ya.